Today I have a 1500 watt RMS amplifier from NVX, the NDA 104. Going to be doing an unbox, review, get it installed, tune it, and find out how much power this thing's putting out real world on my system. Stay tuned. Alright, so let's go ahead and dig in for the next 2 minutes, look over the whole amplifier, small footprint space, but it's rated at 1500 watts RMS. We'll see how it does. Basic simple bass knob here, nothing special or fancy to it, as well as it give you the normal assortment, tools, screws, etc. for you to get it installed. And I'll open the manual in a second. Let's first look out here on the inputs for the power and ground first and the speakers. Looks like it is either 10 or 12 gauge for the speaker inputs, or as I should say outputs, depending on how you look at it, since power is going out, and 4 gauge for the ground and power, and then the remote wire in between there. This amplifier is rated at 1500 watts RMS, single class D amplifier for 1 ohm rating. So I'll be actually testing this today at 1 ohm. It is the NDA 104 NVX N series amplifier here, as you can see. The nice crossover, the standard look as anything. It doesn't offer a clip-in meter like previous other amplifiers I've seen from NVX, which is okay for the price point. Still really budget friendly. Gives you the standard phase, bass boost, subsonic, low pass, and level. It's nice that it has an RCA line out and line in for your RCA, so that way you can run multiple amps if you choose to, but it doesn't look like it has a master and slave option, so this is not able to be strapped. A nice little MOSFET inside, I'm sure, but I'm not going to be able to open it up. As you can see, it has a void of warranty seal if I open it, and I'm not looking to void any warranties today, so I'm not going to be opening up the back. But going to be able to test it on my system today as well. So once again, it's a 1500 watt RMS rated at 1 ohm. The frequency response is 10 to 150 hertz, made just for subwoofer bass, not for speakers, and I'll be tuning it as well. So let's go ahead and dig into this manual real quick and see how it looks. If you want to see a lot more information on this, links in the description. I don't like to break it down into every detail that shows in the manual because you could actually see that as well as the price point and all details of it. So check out the links if you want. And a like goes a long way. Really appreciate it if you give me a like. Let me know what you think about the amplifier in the comments. And shout out to NVX for the amplifier. Really nice 1500 watt amp, and you'll see impressive results at the end. At the manual real quick, I see the fuse rating is recommended at 150 amps. They also offer anywhere from a 500 watt amp up to a 2000. So the N series is a good option for anybody looking for running anything from that power range, and best bang for your buck. So anyway, that's all for that. If you want to see any more information, check out the links in the description. Let's go ahead and get this thing installed, and looking forward to finding out how much power it puts out. Alright, so I got the amplifier on my table right behind my system right here with my battery. So I'm going to go ahead and get everything hooked up and installed real quick. Power, ground, speakers, RCAs, and then tune the amp, and then we'll find out how much power I pull on my system, real world test and clamp. So let me get this installed now. Alright, so I got the RCAs hooked up and everything else on the other end you just saw in the video. Hope you all enjoyed that little music from YouTube Studio. Tune the amplifier real quick. Not going to use a bass knob for this. I have a bass knob that provided with the amplifier, but I'm not going to use it just because I want to see how this amp does without it. My bass boost I am going to keep off. My phase I'm going to keep at 0 since all of my subwoofers are in the same alignment. Not going to do a phase align 100%. My subsonic I'm going to go ahead and tune since it's a 4th order. If you want to see more on my build I'm running in here, usually you would check out my second channel. I've done a few videos also on my channel. If you go to my playlist, you'll see my build. But the subsonic is crucial to tune half an octave below your box tuning. I usually turn it to around the 20 hertz range for the subwoofer, subsonic, because my 4th order bandpass likes to around 20 to 22 hertz before it falls off. So I'll tune it to 20 hertz. So 10 and 50 equals 40 hertz. So 40 hertz would be if I was at the center point, and then I just go ahead and do it around the 9 o'clock, gives me around 20 hertz. There's tools to measure that, but this is the way I've tuned it. Not the most optimal, but it works for me. And my low pass, I will go ahead and tune that to 80 to 100 hertz. Normally I like to put it around the 12 o'clock, 11 to 12 o'clock range. The reason I do that is because the subwoofers usually will play up to 60 to 70, 80 hertz, but you don't want your frequency response to be cut off too short. Otherwise, this will actually, your crossover within your amp will lower the amount of power it puts out at the higher frequency, say 40, 50, 60 hertz. As you turn that down, you get less power, which leads to a higher clip level at a lower volume or a lower frequency than you would at a higher frequency, because there's too much to explain on that. But I went ahead and tuned my amplifier real quick. If y'all have any questions, reach out to my second channel, JacobViral 2. I've made a lot of videos on how-tos and car audio, breaking it down more in depth. So let me go ahead and turn the amplifier on for our first test and check my speaker impedance. So now I'm going to check my speaker impedance real quick to confirm it's right around the 1 ohm mark. So go ahead and measure that on the multimeter. I make it work with cheap devices. So there you go, it's 0.9 to 1 ohm, so right around, right where it should be wired at. Now let's go ahead and do the first amp turn on. Alright, let me go turn the vehicle on and make sure the power turns on with no issues. First turn on. Alright, so you can hardly see it, but the power light is on and the amplifier has no issues for first turn on. So now let me go ahead and get everything set up on my head unit, and I'm going to tune this level for the gain volume, and we'll find out what I do on the meter, SPL, on the glass, as well as how much power is coming out, all in one test. Be a fun, stay tuned. Alright, so I decided to tune the gain with a DD1 distortion test tuner. There's a couple other ways to do it, by ear, multimeter, other devices, oscilloscope. I'm just using this because this is what I got, make it work. I'll be sure to put a link in the description of where to get this if you want. Really worth investing in, not blow subs and amps. So let me go ahead and set my volume to the max that it clips at. I already know where it is. And then I'm gonna set it to a -5 dB 40 hertz tone. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it on, so it's on now. So that way we can go ahead and find out what this result test is and tune it to the level. So 40 hertz is picked up. All right, so what's gonna happen is this will turn red in the distortion whenever I get to a clip point. This is a -5 dB tone that I'm tuning with. And this is just to get this level gain tuned right for me to be able to test this burp and find out how much power this amp's putting out and the SPL. So I'm gonna slowly turn it up till it distorts. There we go. Okay, so you saw that. One more time, I'll do it. Distortion. No distortion. Barely a distortion. There you go. So that's no distortion right under. And of course, on music in different tones, it's going to be deviations. So this is only at the 40 hertz -5. So the moment I put subs to it, it will vary. But for this test, it'll work. So my gain is set. So I got my SPL meter on the glass, got my clamp meter here, and my multimeter. And I'm gonna go ahead and make sure my head unit power's right, and let's do a quick burp here and find out all the numbers. All right, here we go. So it's picking up my tone and make sure everything's right. And follow the numbers and then I'll tell you how they look. Okay, so I did a 54.5, almost a 55. About to calculate what the numbers are, SPL wise. Let me make sure there's nothing wrong inside, and we'll see what these numbers run. Alright, so I took a picture of the highest number I saw. That was 53.8 for the volts. I have horrible handwriting, don't judge me. And then 23.7 for the amps. And it was a 154.6 dB if I remember right. So that was at 50 hertz. That's my peak with nobody in the vehicle. If I was sitting in the vehicle, it would be 48 or 49. That's my high peak. I also could play 26 hertz for my low peak, but I wanted to do the high today. Plus it kind of gives me my rise and my voltage. So now let me grab the calculator real quick and explain these numbers. So 53.8 times 23.7. If you multiply those two numbers together, that's going to give you the wattage. So that equals 1,275 watts RMS. So this would be the amount of power that I clamped out of this. And my voltage was solid. It was probably around 13.8 to 14 volts to get that number. And this is real world numbers, and this is a burp. The reason you do a burp is because you can go with a single test tone and you can test it. You could test it at 20 hertz, 30, 50, etc. Usually for bass amps, you want to test it anywhere below 60 hertz, my experience. Okay, so that's the watts. So now let's go ahead and find out the impedance. 53.8 divided by 23.7. So if you divide your volts and amps, that's going to give me 2.27 ohm, which my rise is always around 2x, so that makes sense. So I clamped that much power to give me at that ohm. Really, really powerful amplifier, doing mid-50s on the glass. Of course, this is a high tone. It'll be around a 50 or a 49 with this much power on the low frequency. Because I'm a high ratio SPL build, it gives me a higher output. But it's pretty impressive to see this little amplifier putting out that much power. There's more on how-tos to do on my second channel on this. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Give it a like if you haven't and subscribe. Really nice amplifier. This is the NVX. If you haven't already, check out the links in the description. The NVX NDA 104. Beefy, underrated, 1500 watt RMS amplifier. Of course, I just proved that by seeing those numbers there. Almost 1300 watts at around 2 ohm. And this is, of course, burst power. Real world on music, non-clipping. And seeing 12 to 13 volts, it'd probably be more around the 800 to 900 watts at 2 to 4 ohm, depending on how you do. But this was a really good number. I was expecting more around that 8 to 900 watts at the 2.2, 2.3 ohm, but definitely met and exceeded the RMS rating of the amplifier. So nice footprint space. Check out the links in the description. If you have any questions, feel free to comment and I'll answer if I can.